In a quiet neighborhood in Lagos, two girls grew up side by side, not just as friends, but as sisters, bound not by blood, but by heart. Agnes and Hannah were inseparable. From the moment they met in primary 2, something clicked. They walked to school together, played during break time, shared food from the same lunchbox, and even fell asleep on each other's laps during after-school lessons. Teachers often called them twins, and the name stuck. They lived in the same compound, 2 small flats side by side. Agnes's parents were humble traders, kind-hearted but struggling. Hannah's family, on the other hand, lived more comfortably. Her father worked in a government office and her mother ran a boutique. But that difference never mattered, not to them. Agnes was quiet, thoughtful, always with her nose in a book. Hannah was loud, funny, and a little dramatic, the type who could talk her way out of punishment. Together, they were balance. After school, they'd rush home, drop their bags, and head to the backyard where they studied under a mango tree. Agnes helped Hannah understand math, while Hannah taught Agnes how to braid hair and draw perfect eyebrows. "I wish we could go to the same university," Hannah once said, resting her head on Agnes's lap as they stared at the clouds. "Me too," Agnes replied. "But even if we don't, we'll always be close, right?" "Forever," Hannah promised, pinky finger raised. But forever has its own plans. After secondary school, they both passed their exams with flying colours. Agnes even got a scholarship offer. But her parents couldn't afford the relocation and other expenses. So she applied to a nearby state university. Hannah, whose parents had bigger means, was sent to a private university in Abuja. The day she left, Agnes stood at the gate, waving until the car disappeared. At first, they stayed in touch. Voice notes, midnight calls, messages filled with "I miss you" and "wait till you hear this gist." But with time, things began to change. Agnes noticed Hannah's responses became shorter. Calls turned into missed calls. Chats remained unread. And then, during one holiday, everything shifted. Agnes returned from school, excited to finally spend time with her best friend. But when she asked her mother if Hannah was home, her mother replied quietly, "They've moved out, to their own house on the other side of town." Agnes blinked. "What? When?" "Last month." "Did Hannah say anything? Not even a message?" Her mother shook her head. "Nothing, my dear." Confused and hurt, Agnes tried to call Hannah. No answer. She sent messages, no reply. For weeks, her mind wrestled with one question: why would Hannah leave without saying goodbye? In that silence, Agnes felt something deep inside her begin to break. Was it the end of their sisterhood? Or just a painful pause? She didn't know yet. But life was about to take them both on a journey neither of them could ever imagine. Weeks turned into months, and the silence between Agnes and Hannah grew louder than any fight ever could. Agnes still checked her messages every morning, hoping to see a reply. Her calls always went unanswered. The once warm friendship now felt like a ghost that haunted her every day. Her chest tightened every time she passed the spot where they used to sit under the mango tree. She would often sit there alone now, watching the sky, remembering how they used to dream. "Agnes," Hannah had once said, "we'll both make it. You'll be the brain behind the business, and I'll be the face. Nobody can stop us." But here she was, alone. Her mother noticed the sadness in her eyes. "You need to let it go, my daughter," she said gently. "Maybe life is just taking you both in different directions." Agnes nodded, but her heart wasn't ready. She tried to pour herself into her studies. At university, she earned top grades, respected by lecturers and classmates alike. Despite her achievements, job offers were scarce after graduation. She applied to countless companies, dropping her CVs in person, applying online, but each time either there was no response or she was told she was overqualified. One day, after yet another rejection, Agnes sat alone in a small roadside cafe, eating rice and beans with a sachet of water. A notification popped up on her phone. "Job opening, cleaners wanted, big firm, apply now." She stared at it for a long time. A cleaner? She had graduated with first-class honours. Her lecturers had called her one of the best minds of her generation. But here she was, desperate. That night, she stared at the ceiling in her room, her mother snoring softly beside her. Her thoughts were racing. Is this what I struggled for? Is this what life has for me? By morning, she had made up her mind. Agnes applied. The next week, she received a text inviting her for an interview. Dressed in her best clothes, a simple skirt and blouse, she arrived early, resume in hand. The HR officer barely glanced at her paper. "We don't usually take people with this kind of qualification for cleaner roles," he said, "but you seem eager." "I am," Agnes said firmly. "I'm not above any job. I just want to work." And that was how Agnes began working as a cleaner at one of the largest companies in the city. It was tough. Early mornings, sweaty uniforms, people ignoring her like she was invisible. But Agnes carried herself with quiet dignity, never complaining. She cleaned as though she was polishing her future, not just a floor. Then, one morning, after 5 months on the job, she stepped into the main reception, mop in hand, and froze. There, sitting at the waiting area, in a crisp white blazer and designer shoes, was Hannah. Looking exactly the same, yet like a stranger. Agnes's heart raced, her palms grew cold. She took a step forward. "Hannah?" The girl who had once been her sister lifted her head slowly. And what came next, Agnes would never forget for the rest of her life. "Hannah!" Agnes's voice was shaky, barely above a whisper. The girl in the white blazer looked up slowly. Her face was polished, lips lined with expensive gloss, lashes long and sharp. For a split second, a flicker of recognition danced in her eyes. Then it vanished. Hannah blinked and tilted her head. "Agnes?" Agnes stepped forward, heart pounding. "Yes, I've been trying to reach you. I called, I texted. When my mum told me your family had moved, I thought..." She reached out for a hug, the way they always used to. But Hannah flinched and pulled back, her eyes narrowing. "Please," she said coldly, adjusting her bag. "Let's not do that." Agnes stood frozen, arms still halfway up. "What do you mean?" Hannah sighed like someone being disturbed by an uninvited guest. "Yes, we moved. We had to. My parents didn't want to stay in that compound anymore. No offense, but we've moved on. Things have changed." Agnes stared at her. "I don't understand. We were like sisters." Hannah looked around, clearly uncomfortable. "Agnes, look at yourself. You're a cleaner here. I came to see the CEO. My company is bidding for a contract." Agnes felt a lump in her throat, but she nodded slowly. "Yes, I took this job because I've been looking everywhere. No one wanted to hire me, even with my first-class degree." "Well," Hannah shrugged, "not everyone was meant to be a boss." The words cut deeper than any slap. Agnes tried to keep her voice steady. "You know me, Hannah. You know how hard I've worked. Please, if there's a way you could help me..." Hannah scoffed. "Help you? Look, if you want, I can hire you as a cleaner in my own company. I'll even upgrade your salary. I mean, you're already used to mopping floors, right?" Before Agnes could reply, Hannah brought out her phone, angled it, and snapped a photo. "What are you doing?" Agnes asked, horrified. Hannah grinned. "Don't worry, just sharing a little update with our old classmates." Seconds later, a notification buzzed on Agnes's phone. She opened it and saw the photo in the Class of 2020's WhatsApp group. Hannah had captioned it, "Guess who's our class cleaner now? The best brain in school." Agnes stared at the comments as they poured in. "Lameo, no way." She really fell off. So book no be everything after all. Her eyes blurred with tears. She looked up at Hannah, who was smiling with satisfaction. "Why would you do this to me?" Agnes whispered. "You should have known your place," Hannah said flatly, standing up as the receptionist called her in. Agnes couldn't speak. Her chest tightened, throat burning, hands shaking. but she did the only thing she knew how to do. She picked up her mop, wiped away her tears, and went back to work. Upstairs, Mr. Jacob, the CEO, had just finished reviewing a proposal. He looked up as Hannah walked in and said, "Before we proceed, I have one simple request. I'd like to speak to Agnes." The room was sleek, the air thick with the scent of expensive cologne and polished ambition. Hannah stepped confidently into the CEO's office, her heels clicking on the marble floor. She smiled as if she already owned the contract. "Good afternoon, Mr. Jacob," she said sweetly, extending a firm handshake. "Miss Hannah," Mr. Jacob replied, gesturing for her to sit. "Your proposal looks promising, well written, clean, and backed by strong figures." Hannah smiled wider. "Thank you, sir. We take our work seriously." He tapped his pen thoughtfully on the desk. "There's just one thing before I make my final decision." Hannah leaned forward. "Anything, sir." "I noticed you speaking with one of our employees earlier, Agnes." A flicker of unease passed across Hannah's face. "Yes, we knew each other. Childhood friends, same secondary school, but we went separate ways after that." Mr. Jacob nodded slowly. "Interesting. Because I've had my eyes on Agnes since she started here. Very diligent, never late, works with pride and humility." Hannah shifted in her chair. Yes, she was always smart, a bit too serious, but yes. "Well," Mr. Jacob continued, "I have a small tradition in this company. When someone close to a potential contractor happens to work here, I ask them for a personal recommendation. Not to decide everything, but to get a sense of character." "Sir, I don't think that's necessary." "Oh, but I insist." He pressed a button on the intercom. "Please send Agnes to my office." Downstairs, Agnes was in the break room trying to wipe away her tears when the call came in. Her hands trembled as she straightened her uniform. She didn't understand why she was being summoned, but something in her gut told her it was about Hannah. She knocked and entered quietly. "Good afternoon, sir," she said, eyes lowered. "Agnes," Mr. Jacob said warmly, "how are you finding the job?" "It's been going well, sir. I'm grateful for the opportunity." "Good. I've been watching your performance. You've earned my respect. Now, I have one request. I understand you and Miss Hannah have history. I want you to tell me about her. Do you recommend her company for this contract?" Agnes's heart pounded. This was it. She glanced sideways at Hannah, who was now tense and glaring at her like a lion waiting to pounce. She could say the truth. Talk about the cruelty, the humiliation, the picture, the group messages. She could finally let it all out. But instead, Agnes took a deep breath. "Yes, sir," she said softly. "She is capable. We haven't spoken in a long time, but I believe she knows her job." Hannah's shoulders relaxed slightly. She smirked. Mr. Jacob leaned back, clasping his hands. "Thank you, Agnes." Then, a long silence. Finally, he spoke again, but this time with a sharp edge in his voice. "You know," he said slowly, "this company has surveillance and audio devices in all shared spaces for safety and integrity." Both women froze. "I heard everything, Hannah, from the moment you insulted Agnes to when you took that photo and posted it." Hannah's smile disappeared. "I don't do business with people who treat others like dirt," Mr. Jacob continued. "You may leave now and expect to hear from our legal department. You won't be bidding for contracts anytime soon." Hannah stood up in shock, words caught in her throat. "Sir, please, Two guards appeared at the door. As they led Hannah away, Agnes stood frozen, unsure whether to cry or breathe. Mr. Jacob turned to her gently. "Agnes, you've shown grace and patience beyond what most people can, and for that, I have something to tell you." Agnes stood, frozen, unable to process the last few minutes. Hannah had been escorted out, humiliated in the same building where she once looked down on her. But instead of joy, Agnes felt, "No, please sit," Mr. Jacob said kindly, his tone softer now. She lowered herself into the chair Hannah had occupied minutes earlier. Her hands rested tightly on her lap, still in her worn-out cleaning uniform. "I've been watching you, Agnes," he began. "From the day you stepped into this building. You arrive early, you do your work quietly, you respect everyone, from the receptionist to the managers." Agnes swallowed hard. I just wanted to make a living, sir." "And you've done more than that," he said. "You've shown what it means to be dignified in difficult circumstances. That's rare." Agnes blinked rapidly, afraid her tears might betray her. Mr. Jacob smiled. "I've spoken to the board and they agree. It's time you moved up." She looked up slowly, unsure she'd heard right. "Sir?" "I want to make you assistant manager of facilities. It's not just about the title. You'll be off cleaning duty. You'll have your own office. You'll supervise all staff. With training, of course. And if you continue to prove yourself, I see you becoming the managing director one day." Agnes gasped. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear her own thoughts. "But, sir, I didn't even apply." "You didn't have to. Your actions spoke for you." She covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face now. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." Mr. Jacob stood up and offered his hand. She took it, shaking it with both of hers. "Go home for the rest of today," he said. "Tomorrow, your new journey begins." As Agnes stepped out of the office, the other staff watched her with curiosity. She didn't say a word. She just walked to the locker room, changed into her simple gown, and stepped out of the building with the sun on her face and something new in her heart. Months later, Agnes now walked through the company doors not in a uniform but in a neatly tailored suit. Her confidence had grown, though her humility remained untouched. The staff respected her, not because of her title, but because of how she treated everyone. She bought her mother a better house. She started sponsoring young girls from her old neighborhood, giving them scholarships and career advice. Her story was beginning to inspire others. One rainy morning, as she drove her modest but beautiful car to work, she passed a street corner and saw something that made her heart stop. A woman in faded clothes, sitting by the roadside selling oranges under a torn umbrella. It was Hannah. Their eyes met. Hannah's widened in shock and shame. She stood, one hand gripping her tray, unsure whether to run or speak. Agnes rolled down the window slowly. "Hannah?" The rain beat softly on the roof of the car. Hannah's lips trembled. "Agnes, I'm sorry." Agnes got out of the car, walked toward her, and did the one thing no one expected. She hugged her. The street was quiet except for the soft pattering of rain and the hum of distant traffic. Agnes stood in the drizzle, arms wrapped around the girl, who once made her cry in a company hallway. Hannah trembled in her embrace. Her clothes were soaked, her palms rough from handling oranges all day, and her pride, once towering, now lay shattered at her feet. "I'm sorry," Hannah whispered again, voice cracking. "I was wrong, so wrong." Agnes pulled away slightly, looking at her. Hannah's eyes were swollen from tears, her mascara smudged, her once pristine hair now unkempt. This wasn't the girl from the CO's office. This was someone broken. "I don't hate you, Hannah," Agnes said gently, "but that day, you really hurt me." Hannah nodded, ashamed. "I know, I was stupid, proud. I let money change me. I thought I was better." Agnes sighed deeply. "We grew up together. We shared everything, even food. But the moment things got hard for me, you vanished." "I was trying to impress people who didn't even care about me," Hannah said bitterly. "I lost everything trying to show off. After Mr. Jacob blacklisted me, no company would touch my name. My father fell ill. We lost our house. Now I sell oranges to survive." Agnes looked at the small basket of oranges under the torn umbrella. Her chest tightened. She remembered the countless nights they both dreamed of becoming something big, changing their world, lifting their families. And yet, here they were. "Come," Agnes said quietly. What? Hannah asked. Leave the oranges, come with me. You can't stay out here in this rain. Hannah hesitated. But... No buts. Agnes helped her into the car, covered her with a spare jacket, and drove off in silence. When they arrived at Agnes's apartment, she gave Hannah dry clothes, made warm tea, and sat beside her on the couch. I've forgiven you, Agnes said, but I won't lie, it took time. I cried a lot. I wanted to hate you, but I realized something. You didn't just lose me. You lost yourself. That's the real punishment. And now, maybe this is your second chance. Hannah stared at her. You would still help me, after all that? Agnes smiled faintly. I once needed a chance, remember? Maybe it's your turn now. She reached into her purse and pulled out a clean business card. This is my number and office address. Come see me tomorrow. I'll help you get on your feet, if you're willing to work. Hannah took it with trembling hands. Thank you. Thank you so much, Agnes. Agnes stood up. And take Hannah back to her house. As Hannah got home, he drifted into sleep on the couch, tears silently streaming down her face. Meanwhile, Agnes stood by the window, watching the rain fade away. In that moment, she understood something powerful. Sometimes strength isn't in revenge, but in kindness. The next morning, as the sun climbed into the sky, Hannah stood nervously in front of a tall glass building. The gold letters on the sign read, Agnes Gold Ventures, LTF. She clutched the business card tightly in her hand. Her clothes were clean but simple. Her heart beat fast. She hadn't entered an office in years, not since her father's business crumbled and she was thrown into hardship. Inside, the receptionist looked up as Hannah approached. Good morning, Hannah said softly. I have an appointment. Agnes asked me to come. The receptionist smiled. Yes, Ma, you're expected. Please follow me. Hannah's hands trembled as she was led through a hallway filled with photos, awards, and staff busy with their work. Everyone looked confident and well-dressed. She felt out of place, like she didn't belong. Then the receptionist opened a door. Agnes was seated behind a beautiful wooden desk, dressed in an elegant suit, her hair in a neat bun. She looked up and smiled gently. Hannah, you're here, she said. Hannah stepped in slowly. Your office is beautiful, she whispered. Thank you. Please, sit. There was a moment of silence. I didn't sleep all night, Hannah confessed. I kept thinking, why are you helping me? After everything I did to you. Agnes looked her in the eyes. Because I remember who you used to be, before pride took over, before life humbled us both. I believe people can change, and I believe in second chances. Hannah's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve this. Maybe not, Agnes said, but I'm not giving you what you deserve. I'm giving you what you need. She handed Hannah a folder. Inside was a job offer letter. Not as a cleaner, not as a messenger, but as a junior admin assistant with full salary, training, and accommodation assistance. Hannah looked up in disbelief. Why would you give me something so big? Because, Agnes said softly, I've been where you are. I know what it feels like to be looked down on. I know what it means to cry alone. And someone believed in me once, Mr. Jacob. Now it's my turn to believe in you. Hannah broke down in tears. I'm so sorry, Agnes. I mocked you. I laughed at you. I even posted your picture in shame. And yet, you chose to lift me up. Agnes got up and hugged her gently. Let's write a new chapter, Hannah, you and me. Not as enemies, but as women who know how to rise, together. Just then, Agnes's personal assistant walked in with coffee. Should I prepare a desk for Miss Hannah? She asked. Agnes smiled. Yes, she starts today. And as Hannah looked around the beautiful office, she realized this wasn't just a job. It was a new beginning. If you were in Agnes' position, will you forgive Hannah? Let us know in the comments section. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and tell us where you are watching us from.